Okay, Christina here to listen to some music. And today's music selection is The Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel. So I've definitely heard of Simon and Garfunkel before, but I have not ever really sat down and listened to them up close. So I am really happy to do that today. Why am I doing this, might you ask? It is because overwhelmingly on the channel, people have been recommending that I react to this song covered by Disturbed. And I was like, well, before I do that, I should probably go back and listen to the original of this song. And so that's what I'm doing today. I can't wait to get into the details of this song. And how do we do that here on the channel? For those of you just getting to know me, I am a professional classically trained musician, instrumentalist, vocalist, composer, university professor. And so we pretty much talk about everything as far as the music goes on this channel. I learn a little bit of something, and hopefully so do all of you. So enough talking. I can't wait to get into this. Let's listen. Okay, so I also know that this song came out in either 1965 or 1966, somewhere in there. There was a little bit of confusion, like an original version or something, and I'm not sure. At one point it was, is it The Sounds of Silence or Sound of Silence? I'm not sure, but either way, we're here, we're going to listen. So here we go.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and damp, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light. Split the night and touch the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs that voices never shared. No one did disturb the sound of silence. Fool, said I, you do.
Okay. I'm just letting all of this sink in. It's really simple, but it's really moving. And yes, I've definitely heard this song before, but I've never listened to it with headphones on. I've never really sat down to listen to this song. So, I don't know why. Some of you ask why. I don't know why. I wasn't necessarily exposed to this, or like it wasn't played in my house, and I didn't listen to radio stations that it was on, and I didn't go out and buy the albums, and so I never crossed paths with it this closely. And now that I'm doing that, Simon and Garfunkel, I've always heard of them, and I do know, Bridge Over Troubled Water and Mrs. Robinson, and they did, I think, the folk tune Scarborough Fair. I've always known that they were this really great duo and that they played guitars. Paul Simon, though, I know he's done some stuff later. I think he did something with Chevy Chase. I remember a video with Chevy Chase and Paul Simon that was funny somehow. Anyway, I've never really paid attention to how well their voices blend. And I've listened to a few things recently on the channel, like Heart, for instance, and the two sisters and how their voices blend together so well. I think it's really neat when two musicians that are not related, that they are a perfect match. I love that. As a vocalist, I've had that experience being in a choir sometimes, and I'm standing next to someone who I can really blend with, another soprano, or, it's really fun to do that. You can really connect a lot with that person. And I think when you perform music like this with someone, you sort of take a piece of that with you wherever you go. And so I feel like this music is really touching. There are so many little intricacies, and I was trying to catch them all before the drum set came in. And by the way, I love that. It's that typical echoey sort of 60s sound. I love that. And just having that beat come in with the drums, it sort of changed the feel of the song a little bit. At first, it was a little bit more somber, and then the drum came in and it sort of just kind of picked it up so it doesn't get too dark, too heavy, and I kind of like that. So it's one that you can play more often and not have to be in just the right mood to listen to. I'll get into some more of the details musically and overall compositionally in just a little bit, but for now I just wanted to sort of comment on the idea of this magical duet happening here and how well they blend and how it sort of brings me peace. I'm already feeling that. All right, I'm going to back it up a little bit and let's finish the song out.
Songs that voices never share, no one dare disturb the sound of silence. Fool said I, you do not know, silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you, take my arms that I might reach you, but my words like silent raindrops fell, echoing the wells of silence, and the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made. And the sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was forming. And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls, the tenement halls, whispering sounds of silence.
I am so glad that I'm listening to this song up close like this. I feel like I've missed out a little bit. And I do want to go back and check the lyrics really quickly. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I definitely recognize those lyrics, but I don't know what comes after that. So I've come to talk with you again. Vision softly creeping. I love how they sing creeping. Left its seat while I was sleeping. Oh, I love that. People talking without speaking. Silence like a cancer grows. Okay. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made. I'm not sure what this song has stood for all these years. To me right now, though, it's about speaking up. Like remaining silent is sort of complacency. Might be my best guess. And that could also be internally, like if someone internally is battling something, they need to speak up and maybe ask for help. But everybody's too busy, sort of something, about the neon signs in the subway, like we're all kind of too busy living our modern lives. And we have to remember to sort of stop and speak up every now and then. If that's not it, let me know in the comments. If I've missed the point of the song, let me know, because I'm happy to right that wrong. The song itself had some really interesting little details. So what I noticed first off is that there were a lot of distant sounds. The instruments themselves were kind of in the distance. You even kind of wanted to listen closely just for the voices themselves, but really I heard an acoustic guitar, an electric guitar, and the percussion, and it was all just very distant. And to me, that plays into silence itself. Like you have to really strain to listen. Either the noise of life is too noisy, so you really have to strain to hear it, or you're kind of in your own world, and so all the noises around you in the world are sort of separated from you. And then, and I think this, honestly, this is just part of the style of the recording back then and maybe limitations with the equipment, but there were some big inconsistencies with the tempo. So when the instruments came in, it was a bit of a stumble as far as my ear was concerned. As a classical musician, we have the conductor, or we train our ears, our brains to sort of keep the inner metronomes. And so I heard some of the instruments sort of joining in at just slightly, not exactly together, but I think that plays into the style of this music. It's really folky, it's really earthy. So it's not going to be perfect, and we don't always need things to be that perfect. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the imperfections. Like the slowing down at the end did not all come together. It sort of happened one at a time. And that, again, might even play into the idea that we're all kind of in our own worlds. And, even in the song, they're sort of slowing down at different paces. But I sure did like a whole bunch of these little intricacies, like I said. So there was a lot of chromaticism in there, especially within the guitar lines. The electric guitar, I think it was, had a lot of chromatic notes. Chromatic just means all of the white and black notes. So that's a chromatic scale right there, a little tiny one. Let's see if I can catch some.
Within the sound of silence, in restless dreams.
Okay, well, first there's just... But there was more chromaticism even beyond that. Let's see.
Of silence, fool said I, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows.
Yeah, so actually that's not as much chromaticism as I was remembering, as in just sort of like a little solo that you can't even really catch on the keyboard. It's so much pitch bending. Okay, but it was still really cool. I want to go back and catch that, because to me it really stood out.
I do not know. Silence like a cancer grows.
And it's funny because that's right over the top, or behind actually, the words of silence like a cancer grows. That's got to be an important line. That's sort of emphasized with the pitch bending behind. But I still stand behind some of the chromaticism, because instead of like just E flat minor that this piece is in, it's like I played before. It's just very, it's sort of centered around just those few little stepwise notes. That's a whole step and then a half step there. Again, there's something really simple yet impactful and moving about it. And it's all just based on that. And sometimes an entire work, like a whole symphony, can be based on one little tiny motif like that. In fact, we might know Beethoven's Fifth. The whole thing was based on just 4 notes. Bum, 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 right? So this whole piece is sort of based on, the finger picking of the guitar with that foundation. So then I also noticed some neat things in the bass line. I can just sense a little bit of uniqueness wanting to come out in this song. Let's see if I can find it.
But my words, like silent raindrops, fell,
Did you hear that little sound? That's a fun little detail. I like that. There, and see how the timing was not quite right? I hear the acoustic guitar that came in there and it wasn't quite lined up quite right. See? I really like that. And the sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was forming. And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls, the tenement halls, whispering sounds, and the stumbling down to the slow down. Oh, so I love the instrumentation in this piece. Again, the acoustic guitar, the bass, and how the bass was just barely there. So it was almost kind of leaving us a little bit anxious because that foundation of the lower notes was not there. And then the electric guitar with all of its chromaticism and that sharp timbre, sharp as in not sharp or flat, but just the feel of the sound of that electric guitar coming through. And then we have the two men's voices. They're a little bit higher in range with the distant percussion underneath it. I just think that it's so perfect and imperfect and beautiful all at the same time. And I know that this song is a long-time favorite. So who am I to come in here and say, oh, it's a great song, you know? It's just fun to sort of be able to sit here and imagine them sitting in the studio recording it, listening to every instrument and who was playing it, what they might have been thinking. Was it one at a time? Did they get to play together? There's just something about being able to put yourself into the musician's shoes. And at the same time, then be able to step out and step back and enjoy the song as a whole without dissecting it any further. Because some things are just better left the way they are. So this was a little bit of a deep dive, tiny one. And then being able to step back and still appreciate it, but just, let it be there. Okay. So that was Simon and Garfunkel. Why had I not done that years and years and years and years and years and years ago? But I guess it's never too late. Will this go on my playlist? Absolutely, immediately. And I'm going to listen to it a lot because then I am really interested to hear this cover that supposedly is really interesting. Now I can't wait. I'm like, I was really interested before, but now I'm super excited. But I do have to listen to this more times on my own. I want the original to really sink in even more. And I do want to hear what all of you have to say. Do you have more details about it? The meaning behind it? What's the deal with the original? There was an original recording the year before this came. I'm not sure, but hopefully all of you can help me straighten this out, including just is it the sound of silence or is it the sounds of silence? So we'll get to the bottom of these mysteries and then get to move on to the Disturbed cover. And also, actually, I should probably do some research for Disturbed as well, because I don't really know much about that either. So, okay, we're catching up. We're getting there. We're doing this. You all are helping me. I appreciate it. Okay, don't forget to do all the things, like and subscribe. You can find me on Patreon. You can support the channel on Ko-fi. You can become a channel member here on YouTube. And as always, just remember that you don't have to be perfect. And just be okay. And keep listening.